Hi, my name is Jenna Garza, and this is my speech presentation on Chapter 4, Giving Your First Speech. Chapter 4, Giving Your First Speech. I wanted to go over this chapter specifically because I felt like it was the best informative chapter for me when it came to learning about speeches. I didn't know about how much actually work and prep goes into speeching, and this chapter really helped me with that. Because yes, there is a lot that goes into speeches, but actually doing it is something completely different, and I had to learn those too. This chapter really did help me understand and how to prepare for all my past projects in this class, and I know it's going to help you. So let's break down this chapter together so we can learn something. You may ask, where do I begin? I know when you hear that you have to give a public speech, your mind goes full panic mode. For me, I always think of that scene from Princess Diaries where when she has to do public speaking, her mind just automatically freaks out and she just throws up automatically every time. And I always thought to myself, that is the worst thing that could ever happen to you while giving a speech. And reading this chapter did help relieve that fear, and I know it's going to help you relieve that fear too. So of course, for step 1, should be quite obvious. It's prepare yourself for your speech. And how do you do that, I may ask? It's simple. You must find a topic to focus on. Choose something you know about or can develop by research. Be creative with it. Make it your own. For example, let's say you want to talk about turtles. Of course, you're going to want to do research. You're going to want to choose from different types of turtles what you want your main focus and main point to be. And then you're going to want to add some personal touches to it. Some experiences, some things that you've learned. And then, boom, you have a speech. But when it comes to that, we also have to, what I learned in this chapter is going to actually be how to organize your speeches. Now that we have got the concept of how to actually come up with a speech, let's organize it so it makes sense and it can be something you can build upon. A speech should have an introduction. You should start by saying your name, what your main topic, what your main points are going to be, and that way it informs the audience of what they're going to learn and who you are. You can extend, for example, my name is Jenna Garza, and I want to talk to you about how it's like to have turtles as pets. Then, once you have your introduction, you're going to have a body of speech. It's kind of like telling a story, added some personal research, some personal experiences, add some research. Now that you have the intention from the introduction, you want to keep that momentum, you want to keep it going, and this is where the body comes. I know there is some difficulties when it comes to the body because you get nervous, you're going to want to rush it, you're going to want to pace yourself. Take your time. That way, the audience doesn't lose track of what the main point is. Now, last but not least, you're going to want to have a conclusion. This is going to be at the end of your speech, so that way everything that you learn from the body of the speech connects from your point to end. And it should wrap up everything into a nice pretty bow and come full circle. You want to tell your audience you're about to speak, that you're about to finish, and reinforce your central idea that what your main topic was, for example, how turtles can be pets. Delivering your speech. Now, we know how our speeches should be organized. Here comes the hardest part of your first speech, is actually delivering your speech and doing it in public. This is one of the most nerve-wracking parts of the whole ordeal. So let me explain to you from what this book chapter has taught me, so I can go ahead and help you. You want to speak expositorily in this chapter and in this chapter they explain speaking expositorily combines the careful preparation and structure of a manuscript presentation, but with a spontaneous and enthusiasm of an unrehearsed talk. And that's what I feel like a good example is how you should deliver your speech. It should be a cut and dry, it shouldn't be so cut and dry, but it should also have some sort of structure, and it should have you. It should have your personality. This should be common sense, but always rehearse. It's a large factor, and it can make a big difference how you deliver your speech. And what I found out in this book is actually a really good tip that I actually do use. You should rehearse your speech out loud. Silently overlooking your notes is not enough. Speaking the words out loud will help you master the content of your talk. And this is something I've actually done for years. I've done theater in high school, and my theater teacher, theater coach always had us rehearse our lines at home in a mirror. So that way we can see how our mouths the words and how we sound, so we can get used to that, especially when it comes to reading scripts. It's something that I have now used quite often when I have to do public speaking. Is I write down what I'm going to write, and I practice in front of a mirror, I practice in front of my son, I practice in whoever will listen, and it has helped. So do's and don'ts when it comes to your first speech. Feel free to use hand gestures. I commonly do that because I'm a visual learner. So hand gestures help me a lot. Whenever you do use gestures, it should feel natural. It shouldn't be something planned. It should feel natural. Maintain eye contact with your audience. Use your voice expressively as you would in a normal conversation. And either speaking online or in person, concentrate on projecting your voice so you can be clearly heard out through. And that I do agree. Don'ts. Do not plan all your gestures ahead of time. Again, like I stated, it should be natural. Don't let your gestures or body actions distract the audience from the message. Don't do too much. You don't want to be making crazy gestures and making the audience lose your main points of your speech. Try to avoid the temptation of speaking directly just to one or two people in the audience member. You want to be speaking to everyone. You want to feel like you're giving everyone your full attention. Despite your nerves, fight the temptation to rush through your speech. Take a breath if you need to, and carry on. As you may feel nervous, half the time they don't really notice it. So it's okay to take a deep breath when you need to. And when I was looking online, I did some research through the website, and I found some really good tips for your first speech on the Harvard website from Harvard University. And here's some tips that I found. If it's good for them, it's going to be amazing for you. It's Harvard. Nervousness is normal. The best way to combat nervousness is to practice, prepare, know your audience, organize your material in the most effective manner. Watch for feedback in the audience and adapt to it. That's something that's going to really help you. If you feel like your audience is not paying attention, fix it. If you feel like your audience is too much paying attention, work on that. Build it up. Let your personality come through. In speeches, I feel like it's always so you lose yourself, but don't do that. Make it your own. Use humor and tell stories, and use effective languages. Grab attention at the beginning and close with a dramatic end. Really bring it home. The sources that I use for this speech are The Art of Public Speaking by Steph Lucas, and then 10 Tips on Public Speaking by Harvard Division of Communicating Education website. Thank you.